Hi guys, good evening. My name is Jen. I am the founder of Always Furever, and we're doing a little bit different live tonight than you have seen in quite a while. It's me at my house with my crew. I've got Lena on my lap over here. I've got Lucy over here, and we've got Louie and Z hanging out next to me. And I used to do these nightly Operation Be Brave updates, and what I found was, guys, by the end of the day I was just absolutely wrecked and exhausted. And then I thought, why not start sharing what I do every single morning with the dogs and include you guys in that journey. So I shifted from the nightly lives where I could barely speak. I was utterly exhausted. Anytime like after 6 o'clock I start blabbering because my day starts super early. And I thought, let's jump on a live and kind of share who we are, what we do. I love you. So that you could see it real time, so that you could see what we have done literally every single day for almost 7 years now. May 14th, May 12th, I'm not sure the exact date, but that's actually our 7-year anniversary. So because of all of you, because of all of your love and support, we have taken a dream and made it a pretty incredible reality. And so I thought, let's jump on and let's talk about some of the issues that are going on. And because today was a lot, like I don't even know, a lot doesn't cover it. I don't know if there's a word that covers what a lot is. And today was it. And many people who are in rescue, I say this all the time, you need an outlet, like you need something to have a release. And if I drank, I could totally see how you would just want to drown yourself in alcohol with days to where the stress, the emotions, the fear, the anxiety can just get to you. So I thought, instead of just sitting here and worrying, and I would share it with you guys. And I'm a big believer when you feel something and you have an emotion, if you share it, if you get it off of your chest, number one, you're gonna know you're not alone. And number two, it's gonna help you release it and not focus on it. Because there's a really beautiful thing that I sent to a friend, and I'm gonna butcher it, but it was, when you worry, in fact, you're not praying. Or prayer is focused on hope, and worry is focused on fear. And that really stuck with me, because it's one thing to say that you're praying, but it's another to pray and carry the worry and the fear, because then you're not saying, hey God, I know you got this. And right now we're at a place where we need to collectively say, hey God, you got this. Because as an individual, as a leader, as a supporter and follower of this rescue, as a volunteer, only God can get us through days like today. And just to kind of give you a little preface of it, Arctic came to us a week or so ago, and she was dropped off at Blue Pearl by a breeder who, I'm the one that goofed the phrasing on that one post that said she was used for breeding. She was born from a breeder, and she was attacked by 2 dogs, 2 adult dogs in her home. She was attacked so badly that the canines punctured and fractured her lung and her ribs. So her ribs actually shattered inside from those 2 incisors that dug in there. Now, when they brought her in, they thought, okay, time is healing. They did not know the depths of her injury, but they knew she was gonna need time in an oxygen tank to recover, because time is healing in many cases. So they reached out to us, and of course we said, yeah, we're all in. And 1 day turned to 2 days, 2 day turns to 3 days. And she had went from having to rely on 50% oxygen. Now forgive me, I'm not medical, but I can hang with them and I can ask questions and I kind of understand it, but I'll simplify it. And so she was at 50% oxygen level, then down to 40. Then when she got to 30, we started to get excited, because I guess at 22%, that's key. That's when that's like room temperature. You don't need it anymore. But she got just above 30 and she started to plateau. And then she started to get worse. So now we're 4 or 5 days in and we're like, okay, there's something more going on there. And so they realized they had to do a CAT scan. And why, my number one question, what the heck? Why didn't we do a CAT scan right away? Well, number one, it's $3,000 to $4,000 to do that. So they had thought, like I said many times, time just heals. So we're now 6 days into the ICU on oxygen, and she is dying, because if we take her off the oxygen, she will die. We cannot just leave her on oxygen forever. And she's a beautiful little white Pyrenees puppy, 8 weeks old, that's growing and that wants to play, that wants to be engaged, but she can't breathe. So she was a fighter, and everything in her, when you went to see her, she wanted to live. So we knew we couldn't euthanize her. We just couldn't. We could not say goodbye, because that's not... I get it. I get it's a fortune, and that individually, I don't know how I would have done it. But when we put our individual limitations aside and we say, hey, we're going to come together and find a way, that's how we have the crazy faith to say, okay, we're going all in on this little girl named Arctic who needs us. So 6 days in, do the CAT scan, $3,000, and we find out that her ribs actually shattered. So there were fragments of her ribs blocking her oxygen to her chest cavity, which created a diaphragmatic hernia. I'm absolutely positive I got that wrong. So they knew surgery had to save her life. And of course, the surgery was another $5,000. So when you get the phone call and you know that you have committed to $10,000 and then $3,000 and then they say $5,000, I don't know how I could do it individually for my own, but I know I've done it before. I've always been the type of person that has been willing to go into debt for the things I love, which is this rescue and the people I love. And when I say people, I mean my animals too. So they're my family. And when we started this, it really was just a crazy, insane leap of faith, not knowing in the slightest how I would do it. I went to, I don't know if you guys know the story. If you don't know the story, you're welcome to check out our website. It's all on there. I was meant to be here. We are meant to be doing what we are doing. And we are called to be the ones that step up for the animals that others walk past. Now, someone wrote on a post yesterday, and I really try not to read all the comments. Many are beautiful comments. But because there are some ones that say, I think one said, at some point you should cherry pick the animals that you can save so that you can save more. And I kind of took a step back and a pause and a little bit of offense to that. Because if you know Always and Forever, and if you follow us, we are literally cherry picking the ones that nobody else will touch with a 10-foot pole. And why? Why? Because there's crazy risk involved, that there's a life-saving surgery that can save this soul, but someone has to say it's worth it, because even if they fail, then they die knowing someone cared. Someone thought their life mattered enough that we were going to take that chance and put our faith in God and put our faith in these vets and try. And that's what it is. When there is hope, there is light and there is life. And if there's a chance, we go all in. So here we are, a week and a half later. Zizi, she's eating her toast. Hey, don't eat your toast. She's got allergies. A week and a half later, $19,000. That's our bill for Arctic. Guys, she's being released from the hospital tonight. That is a miracle. And that's the crazy faith that keeps this going, is that they are worth it. And if you have $5, $10, if you have $5,000, it all adds up. And that's where you know that your donations are going. So Arctic, okay, what happens? What else is going on? I will share, and I shared this on my own personal page. This Saturday, I got in my RV. I woke up the dogs. I did it a lot earlier. I think I got up at 3:30, something like that. Let all the dogs out, piled all the dogs in, popped in the RV, loaded up my 4, and checked the weather in Mississippi, where I was going to go for a football game, and didn't check the route. Didn't check the route at all. Which makes no sense to anybody that owns an RV. I have a little Class A out there. You check the weather on the route. I've always done that. Every single trip I have ever taken, I've only had 2 years, and I've only ever gone like to the park in Chicago to see my parents. But this time I didn't check the weather. I didn't even think to check the weather. I just assumed it was sunny in Mississippi. It was sunny here. We'd end up there. And 3 hours in, we ended up in torrential downpours. We ended up in the heart of the flood zone, in a tornado warning. And literally we called Megan, called Craig. Megan's on, we navigated, we downloaded apps that were telling us, tracking the storms. And it was kind of that fear where it's so unbelievable that there is no option to be afraid. It's like you have to be so present in this moment that you just go. So in an RV, swaying in 40-50 mile an hour winds, knowing there's a storm behind us, a storm in front of us, and we are now in Arkansas, Missouri into Arkansas, just passed through I think it's White Plains there, and the roads start to disappear because the floodwaters start to come up. And when you're in a one lane highway, I think it was 67, 62, one of those, and a one lane highway each way, to where there's no shoulder, there's no median, and there's no pull-offs. Like, this is in the middle of nowhere with rolling hills and valleys and farmland and pastures around us, but to where the pastures looked like lakes. And with the waves and the winds had white caps, it looked like we were surrounded by the ocean in Arkansas. There was no sun, no sunlight, and then you sway in an RV. I had my 4 dogs in there. I had my friend with me, and tracking where we're going and how we're going to get there. We literally had, I mean, it was just prayer. It was prayer the whole way. I told her, I said I could see in my mind when I get to a place where I know that it's beyond anything that I can control, and I can only control myself and do the very best I can in the circumstances. I saw angels on the side of the RV, and I just visualized them guiding us through this storm. And I'm not doing justice to share the devastation that I saw in Arkansas and in Missouri with the floods, because we actually ended up getting in Jonesboro, right at the peak of the tornado warning, and then we had to turn around, and we were going maybe 30 miles an hour for 4 hours, to where it felt like we were going 90 with how we were being pushed. And we ended up pulling, and I'm in this big, guys, remember, I'm in this big RV that I own that says Always and Forever. People probably thought we were insane, and because we didn't check the weather. We just got in the car and started driving. And so, like, the fear is there, but you just keep going. And we ended up making it safely to a Walmart in Pocahontas. And it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're like, okay, we're just gonna chill here for a while. And then we had to wait, woke up at 5 a.m. and you know, that dread starts to come because all that adrenaline rush and the cortisol, and your mind's going, okay, so how are we gonna get home? So everybody's routing, everybody's planning the routes of where we need to go. And I was like, Beth, we're just gonna drive. So we started driving to St. Louis, found a couple different routes, and it literally looked like the end of the world, because all you could see was water. Homes were just sinking in it, and we got out safely. But what I kept thinking, it took us like 12 hours to get back, but all I kept thinking was, all we're trying to do is get out when so many people are left behind there, suffering living with this tragedy, with this devastation. And, you know, it makes the news for a couple days, but then everybody moves on. You know, it's just like, oh, flooding, you know, that is what is tornado damage. Like, towns are wiped out. And then you think about the animals. And it's like, what's happening with the shelters there and the amazing rescue workers? Because when I have days like today and like life is hard, nothing is as hard as when a national disaster comes in and like you don't even have your shelter where you had space before and you don't. And I promise I have a point to this, but like that stays in you. And we thought, okay, we've got to do something. So we reached out to the shelter that we were at with amazing rescue workers that work there, and you know, they're overwhelmed. But here's the thing. A tiny little shelter, 11 kennels up. Anytime an animal comes in and they don't have space, what do? They euthanize the animal that's been there the longest. And maybe that's sometimes a day. Maybe that's two. They can't even abide by their stray hold if they don't have space. And people, these could be pets from loving families. These could be pets from families that had no choice but to evacuate. Now, of course, you go in this scenario in your head of, I would have died saving my pets. I absolutely know I would have died saving my pets. I jumped out of a moving car when I was 13 to try to save my dog. But, you know, you can't judge someone until you're in the exact same circumstances and you don't know what they've done to try to save their animals too, or you don't know how they were separated. But so we reached out and we called to them, and they said, okay, we've got these 5 dogs. One was stuck in a tornado, survived. You know, her limbs are exposed, and she needs help. And these 4 others are in the kennels, but they're getting to where they're full, and more animals are coming in. Because remember, my whole goal, my whole prayer was to get out. It was very selfish at first, and then it was shifted to like, my God, I saw this for a reason. Okay, I'm back. So, this has been a heck of a week, you guys. So, yet Monday we had electrical work done to give the horses. I don't know if this is gonna work. My internet line got cut yesterday, or not yesterday, Monday, when we were putting the horses' power there. So I've been without internet for 4 days. It's been a disaster. My basement flooded this morning. None of that matters. But it's because ultimately when you have days like today, where I wanted to share the story of a court case, and I can't share the details of it, but I'm probably going to lose my internet, so I'm going to keep it short. Everything happens for a reason, and God puts us in these situations where he opens our eyes and our hearts to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And we didn't live through what we lived through in Arkansas to do nothing about it. So 5 dogs came into our care. 1 ended up at Blue Pearl. She's missing toes on 3 of her legs. She's super sick right now, but she's at our little gray barn. Her name is Pocahontas. We named them after all of the ones in the movie. Lon came out with Parvo yesterday, even though he just got a health certificate 2 days before that, and it literally just broke instantly and brutally. If you know anything about Parvo, it is cruel, it is awful. We bought the next one from Arkansas. He has a torn ACL. None of that matters, because they were meant to be here, because we see their worth, because we don't see them as a price tag, because we see problems as challenges that only God can help us get through. And that's what faith is. Guys, if it was easy, everyone would save these dogs, and every single rescue would be flooded with money, and nobody would ever have any challenges. But that's not the way the world works. It takes donations to save lives. It takes crazy, insane faith to jump on a medical and say, right now, there's a cat with a little kitten stuck inside of her, and she needs an emergency C-section. That is another $5,000 right now, but that's right now. And they need someone to say they are worth it. And going back to our court case, we are an open intake shelter for the city of Osawatomie. What does that mean? That means we take every single animal the police bring into us. And there was a bite dog there, and he was there for, gosh, yeah, I think he was there for 13 days with us. Now, when it's a severe case, we don't touch them. We're not allowed to. They go back and forth from one side of the kennel to the other. And it's probably one of the hardest things for us and our staff to ever endure. And then in our agreement, we cover all the expenses to compassionately and humanely say goodbye. And that's what happened today. But what we realized was, in this situation, for 13 days, he didn't get to see the sun. He was inside, going back and forth. And what we want to do is we want to build just a little duplex, kind of just like TK and Copper's home over out in Osawatomie, to give our bite, hold dogs an ending with peace, where it's not like a shelter where they can go back and forth. Where we can have a fenced in yard that's enclosed on the top and the sides and reinforced, and they can have quiet, versus being in a shelter. They can have peace and they can know love, even though they have done horrific things. And I'm not condoning anyone or anything that has happened with that, but the circumstances we don't know. But that we don't know the emotional abuse, we don't know the trauma, we don't know the story behind that. But what we do know is what we can control and who we are. And no matter what the circumstances, we are put on this earth to love them, to love each other, to do the very best we can in the circumstances we're in. And so from that, from all these experiences, from the heartache, from the emotions, from the worry, it really kind of goes back to what I said before. You can either worry and focus on fear, or you can pray and focus on hope. And that's what we do. When times are overwhelming, we've spent $40,000 at one emergency vet alone in the first, April, 4 months of the year. That's just one. And when we get the call, when nobody else is willing to step up, we have that crazy, crazy faith to say, we're going to pray and we're going to focus on hope and we're going to find a way. And many, many times that's looking internally. And I do it as well. I am right along your side every single morning, donating, every single morning out there with the dogs, every single morning praying with you guys that somehow, some way, it will all work out. So I just wanted to give a little bit of background. I didn't do a great job because the internet, and then I got distracted, and but it does help to just kind of dump what's going on, because it's not easy. And hats off to the rescues that do outreach. Andrea, she's out there picking up a mama puppy that's on or mama dog that's on a chain, and it's working with other rescues that are doing amazing things. Amazing things. There's so many amazing people on this earth, and all the love and support people have reached out to with Victory. We're not giving up on him. We are absolutely the rescue that will look for every single reason to save an animal versus put him to sleep, because the easy thing to do is put a dog or a cat to sleep. The hard thing to do is to find a way to help them physically, mentally, emotionally, medically, you name it. It's all of it. It's exhausting. It's overwhelming. Sometimes it feels completely and utterly impossible. But I say it every morning, and I really do believe it. We're meant to do what we do, and with God, all things are possible. He proves it every day. He proves it in our med team, our driving team, what Craig and the Freedom Drivers do, our volunteers. Guys, you guys, you're amazing. I just shared this last night. Craig sends these long logistical emails of super thorough. I delete almost every single one, but I read through one and I was like, holy cow, this is incredible. The amount of time and detail he does and what these drivers do. It's just so many people working together and so many different pieces of the puzzle that's just, it doesn't happen without God. And there are miracles, or there are disasters, and there is worry and there's stress, and it's what we focus on that exemplifies. And we focus on hope, we focus on faith, and we focus on somehow, some way, we're gonna pull through these really, really hard times. And tonight, I do want to say this: the officers at Osawatomie, the officers at Miami County, and the officers of Hill and Gardner, these are the ones that we have worked with. I have never seen more compassion from incredible officers on the animal control side. Personally, they have carried dogs in, they have treated every single soul with kindness, and I can't speak highly enough for how beautiful this community is, and I don't think that gets said enough or recognized enough. And to go from to know the past of Osawatomie from where it is to where it is now with the officers and with our shelter, it's just amazing. And we cannot say thank you enough to them for doing what they do, especially with the really, really hard cases, because that is going to happen. But what a beautiful thing to give a dog that had really a horrific past a peaceful ending. And I know I say this stuff all the time to every single soul that I hold and help transition. I whisper in their ear and I promise that heaven is better. And if I didn't believe that, this wouldn't exist. So I just wanted to jump on. I always just start rambling, but thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. Thank you for praying. And thank you for supporting this magical journey. We will keep you posted. Our Arctic goes home tonight. It's a miracle. And Bethany and Buster, they're in a loving foster home. Who else? Pocahontas, she's at the Gray Barn. We would love to have her foster. Mama Hulu, what Sarah has done with them, amazing. Guys, if your heart is open to foster, we will support you the entire way. We cover all the expenses. And to all of our current fosters, guys, you are rock stars. This doesn't exist without you. And to our adopters that are willing to open your heart and your home to a rescue,